The winds of change aren't just blowing through the Windy City, they are howling with a force we haven't seen in years, and the Chicago frontline just dropped a bombshell that has the entire league talking. We are witnessing a total demolition and reconstruction of this roster in real time, and the latest casualty is a name that was supposed to be a cornerstone of this defense. But now, the Tremaine Edmunds era in Chicago is officially over. In a move that sent shockwaves through the fan base today, the veteran linebacker has been officially released after failing to find a trade partner, a decision that feels like a cold, hard realization that the massive investment simply didn't pay off the way we all hoped. It is a bittersweet day because while we're losing a high-character talent, the front office just clawed back a staggering $15 million in salary cap flexibility, signaling that an even bigger, more explosive move is lurking right around the corner. Before we dive into the madness of this skyrocketing cap space and the superstar targets on the horizon, do me a huge favor. If you live and breathe this team, hit that like button, share this with a fellow fan, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a second of this chaotic off-season. Are we witnessing the most aggressive off-season in the history of this franchise? Or is the front office playing a dangerous game by letting go of so much established talent? Think about what has happened in just the last 30 hours. A massive trade involving our star wideout DJ Moore, the retirement of Drew Dalman, and now the outright release of Tremaine Edmunds. The team is clearing the decks, shedding salary like it's going out of style, and the result is a massive war chest of over $33 million in spending power. But let's be real for a second, was the Edmunds experiment a failure? When he first arrived, we thought he was the missing piece for this defense, and to be fair, he showed flashes of absolute brilliance early this season before that nagging hamstring injury derailed everything. He never quite looked like the same sideline-to-sideline predator after that, and in a system that demands elite speed and quick processing, the fit started to feel forced. The financial gymnastics here are absolutely staggering. By cutting Edmunds loose, we aren't just saying goodbye to a player, we are saying hello to a world of possibilities. You have to understand that in the NFL, $15 million in extra cap space is the difference between being a spectator and being a predator in free agency. With TJ Edwards already locked in on an extension, the writing was on the wall. Keeping a linebacker with a $17.4 million cap hit who wasn't playing like a transformational superstar was a luxury this rebuilding team simply couldn't afford. It's frustrating because you hate to see a good but not great tenure end with a release instead of a draft pick via trade, but let's be honest, the rest of the NFL knew we were desperate to shed that salary. Why would a rival team give up an asset when they knew the pink slip was coming? Now, the market for Edmunds will be fascinating to watch as he hits free agency, and while we wish him the absolute best, our focus has to shift to the massive void he leaves behind. Are we going back to the well with a cheap deal for Marco Jackson, or is the draft the only way to find a long-term replacement? Question of the day. With over $33 million now available, which superstars should be the absolute priority for the front office? Is it a dominant pass rusher like Maxx Crosby, or a generational anchor for the offensive line like Tyler Linderbaum? Sound off in the comments below, and tell me who you would sign right now. The rumors are reaching a fever pitch because that $33 million figure is just the starting point. If the front office gets aggressive with restructures for guys like Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, or even Cole Kmet, that number could easily balloon even higher. We are talking about reset the league type of money. We could look at Joe Thuney or Jonah Jackson for restructures as well. Even Kyler Gordon's deal could be tweaked. The point is, the ceiling for our spending hasn't even been reached yet. The names being linked to Chicago right now aren't just depth pieces. They are game changers. Maxx Crosby is the name on everyone's lips, and let's be real, he belongs in this jersey. He plays with that blue-collar, high-motor intensity that defines our city's football history. The Raiders are reportedly playing hardball, demanding 2 first-round picks for the 29-year-old, and while that is a king's ransom for a player coming off knee surgery, can you imagine the terror he and Sweat would strike into opposing quarterbacks? It's a massive gamble, though. Giving up 2 first-rounders is a lot of draft capital to surrender, especially for a player reaching his late 20s. Some fans might say we should keep the picks and build through the draft, while others are screaming for a proven superstar who can double our sack production overnight. Then there's Tyler Linderbaum, a top-tier center who could solidify the interior of our line for the next decade. He's only 25 and arguably the best at his position, but he's going to command upwards of $22 million a year. It sounds expensive, but with the way we've cleared the books, the math actually works. We could theoretically land both if the front office is willing to push all their chips into the middle of the table. We've seen other teams land big fish by being bold, and after years of waiting for next year, the fans are starving for a winner. We saw Danielle Hunter get a massive extension in Houston today, a 2-year deal worth over $70 million, so he's officially off the board. The options for elite talent are shrinking by the hour. If we don't land a whale like Crosby, do we pivot to a homecoming for someone like Khalil Mack on a short-term deal? It would be a poetic return for one of the most dominant forces we've ever seen, and even at this stage of his career, he brings a veteran presence that this young locker room desperately needs. The possibilities are endless, but the clock is ticking toward the start of free agency on Monday. We are hearing reports that the front office isn't looking at Trey Hendrickson, which suggests they have their eyes on a very specific type of target. If it's not Hendrickson and it's not Hunter, all signs point back to a blockbuster trade, or a massive splash for a younger asset. Let's talk about the defense as a whole, because losing Edmunds leaves a massive crater in the middle of that field. We have to address the linebacker position, and we have to do it fast. Are we going to see a mid-tier free agent signing just to bridge the gap, or is the plan to go young and hungry through the draft? And don't even get me started on the safety position. As of this second, we have 0 safeties under contract. That is a terrifying reality. Is Kevin Byard coming back? There's no news on that front yet, and believe me, I am checking my phone every 30 seconds for an update. We are flying blind in the secondary right now, and that has to be addressed before the big names start flying off the board on Monday morning. The departure of Tremaine Edmunds is the end of a chapter, but it feels like the prologue to something much bigger. We've gained a second-round pick from the DJ Moore trade, we've cleared the decks of heavy contracts, and the roster is now a blank canvas. This is the moment where legacies are made in the front office. Are they building a sustainable contender, or are they just making noise? The energy in the building suggests they are hunting for a transformational move, and with the ammunition we now possess, there are no more excuses. We need a pass rusher, we need safety help, and we need to figure out the identity of this defense moving forward. We've seen these types of off-seasons before, where teams dump salary and load up on draft picks, but it's rare to see it happen with this much intensity in such a short window. It feels like the front office is finally realizing that the window to compete is opening, and they aren't willing to waste another year with an average roster. By moving on from DJ Moore and Tremaine Edmunds, they have essentially told the league that they are willing to trade good for the chance at elite. It's a high-stakes poker game, and we're all sitting at the table watching them bet the house. The fan-to-fan reality here is that it hurts to see players we like get cut, but if it leads to a Maxx Crosby or a Tyler Linderbaum, we'll forget all about this by week 1. We need winners. We need guys who can change the geometry of the field. Edmunds was a solid pro, but he wasn't a game breaker. Now we have the money to go get a game breaker. Whether it's through a trade with the Raiders or a massive contract for a top-tier free agent, the pressure is on. The front office knows that if they don't hit on these next few moves, the fans will lose patience. We've been patient enough. We've sat through the lean years, the bridge years, and the rebuilds. We want a contender, and we want it now. It's a wild time to be a fan. 1 minute you're mourning the exit of a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker, and the next you're refreshing your feed every 5 seconds waiting for a breaking news update that changes the franchise forever. The release of Edmunds proves that no one is safe and the team is prioritizing financial flexibility above all else. It's a ruthless business, but it's the kind of ruthlessness you need if you want to climb out of the basement and back into the postseason. We've said goodbye to a great guy and a solid player, but the mission remains the same: returning this team to greatness. Every move we've seen so far, the Moore trade, the Dalman retirement, the Edmunds release, it's all part of a master plan to maximize the 2026 cap and beyond. We are building a war chest that most teams can only dream of. But money doesn't win games, players do. The front office has to execute. They have to find the right fits for Matt Eberflus's defense. They have to find players who can play at a high level under Dennis Allen's guidance. The injury to Edmunds' hamstring really exposed how thin we were at the position, and we cannot afford to go into next season with that kind of vulnerability. We need depth, we need speed, and most importantly, we need reliability. As we look toward Monday, the anticipation is building to a breaking point. The league is already moving, with players like Danielle Hunter getting their money and teams positioning themselves for the frenzy. Chicago is in the catbird seat. We have the money, we have the picks, and now we have the roster spots. The release of Edmunds was the final piece of the puzzle to get us over that $30 million mark. Now, it's time to spend it. Whether it's a trade tonight or a signing on Monday morning, things are about to get very fast and very loud in the NFL. Buckle up, because the next 48 hours are going to be a roller coaster, and I'll be here for every single twist and turn. Farewell to Tremaine, thanks for the memories, but the future starts right now. We are looking for something legendary. We are looking for a return to the dominance that this city expects. If the front office can turn this cap space into a defensive powerhouse, then today will be remembered as the day the rebuild truly turned the corner. If they miss, we'll be right back here talking about what could have been. But for now, the excitement is real. The potential is massive. The cap space is historic. Let's see what they do with it. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to be aggressive. It's time to win. It's Chicago. Best of luck, Tremaine. Bear down.